Coming up on this episode of Tom Talks Rubbish.
Being a public speaker, I mean, there's 100% confidence that, like, if I can get on and do a podcast for how many years and to grow as a speaker, and not even just as a motivational speaker, but if I can grow as someone, as a storyteller, as someone who's speaking in front of a camera on a mic, it's the same thing as public speaking, getting up in front of how many people and teaching. And that's 100%
Mm,
something that has contributed to this because this is something you can see me in day one and see me day now that I've
mm.
100% grown as a podcaster in that sense, and that's 100% contributed to what I might end up doing for the rest of my life outside of Wrestling Republic.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy, Tom Talks Rubbish, and today I'm back with another interview. This time, I'm joined by the one and only Colby, the head reviewer from Wrestling Republic. So, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Tom. It's been a pleasure. I'm glad to know that we're working together and there's a lot I'm not the first Wrestling Republic member you've brought on, and hopefully I'm not the last.
Hopefully not, my friend. But today, this is all about you. So, as we take this back, my friend, where did you first discover wrestling as an overall fan?
So the funniest part is I look back and I think one of the most widely regarded crappiest manias of all time goes back to WrestleMania 27.
Mm,
And my lone memory of it is the fact that Undertaker got carted out.
mm.
And that's the one thing that sticks to me. And that's the one thing that I look back and be like, that was my first kind of memory that I can recall for wrestling not Triple H, Undertaker being carted out of WrestleMania 27 because of that brutal match with Triple H.
Mm. You mentioned that being a brutal match there and things like that. Why was that the match that spoke to you, do you think?
It's that visual of after the match,
Mm.
post match, being the card out. And that's the lone memory that I can sit there and say, yeah, I remember that. And then I would say sometime in that summer is when I officially like just started to watch the Raws, started to watch that. And I
Mm.
remember being out of town and having my dad make a VHS of SummerSlam 2011, and I watched that and not knowing who the heck Kevin Nash is
Oh yeah.
after he cost CM Punk. But no, I would say that first core memory is that WrestleMania 27 Undertaker moment.
Whenever anyone brings up WrestleMania 27, and I hate to bring the mood down as we've only just connected, if you know what I mean. What is your thoughts on the commentators match, whether Michael Cole versus Jerry Lawler?
Never seen it. I,
Explain.
I probably watched it live at the time, but I have no memory of it. And this isn't me going, I have no memory of that. I don't concern myself with that. I have no solid memory of that match where and I haven't gone back to go like, oh, I'm gonna go watch this notoriously bad match.
Mm.
No, I haven't. So I can't I'm indifferent, but I know how bad it is based on the fact that it's a Michael Cole versus Jerry Lawler match when what was Jerry, 50 something? Or
Yeah,
was
it
he in the
must have been.
60s? I can't remember.
Mm.
But
Uh, What about the rest of that Mania then? Have you gone back and watched it and thought, or are you just strictly, I like the code, I like the uh Undertaker Triple H, and that's what I want my memory to be of that Mania sort of thing.
to be fair, that's the thing. And I know, and I think Ben had it. I don't know if Ben mentioned it, but I know he has a similar thing where this is one of the first Manias he's seen
32
or
was
in
his big
full.
one.
Oh, for maybe first live, but I know I think he said he had it, or it was someone, or it might have been someone else on the team that had a 27 that has a 27 DVD, or some form of, oh, that's one of the first Manias they've seen. The only memory, like I know how brutal that no holds barred match is, but I haven't gone back to see much of any of it. And I can't sit there. I know, I mean, I've played the video games to see Cena and Miz main event.
Mhm.
And I know there's the Snicky involvement, and I know there's a lot of crap involved in that, but I know that like my big shining light is the fact that Undertaker being carted out stuck with me.
Mm. What is, if we move on into 2011, you said you got your dad to record SummerSlam 2011. That
Yeah.
means you were aware of wrestling around the
Yeah.
pipe bomb. You can see where I'm going
Yeah.
with it, right?
Yeah.
So what was your sort of memories of the pipe bomb, if you like?
It would have been around that time, and of course we saw think about it as the summer of punk. I'm trying to think back if I act like if it would have been like I started the week or two after, or if it actually was the pipe bomb, and I don't think I actually watched the pipe bomb live.
Mm.
If my gut tells me so, I don't think I did.
Have you, like you mentioned that you don't know who Kevin Nash is, or didn't know who Kevin Nash is at that time? Have you gone back and watched any moments from wrestling and been like, oh, so that's who the guy in the stripy shirt was
Oh,
that kicked CM Punk's ass?
oh, yeah, I know who Kevin Nash is. I know of his involvement of the NWO, and I mean, I have a wealth of knowledge, so I mean, I don't want to tout myself, but I mean, we did Wrestling Republic did the King and Queen of the Ring or King and Queen of the Quiz. We did a big little tournament, and I was the winner. So I want to say I do have a good amount of knowledge that is does in fact scope the last I want to say 20 not I don't not even 20, probably 30, 40 years at least. So yeah, I do know who Kevin Nash is. I do know he's one of the founding members of the NWO. I do. I do know why it would have been big that he kind of had that little mini run and that I think the first and only sledgehammer match in
It
2011.
must be, yeah.
I think it has to be the first and only sledgehammer match
It's,
with
what do you want
Triple
to
H at TLC.
Do you want to know what's so funny about that time in wrestling for me? That was sort of my peak fandom. And I was so hyped for that match. Like the way WWE built it, I was hook, line, and sinker, if you know what I
Oh,
mean.
no, 100%. And it was. And it didn't matter. I was on side Triple H. He
Mm,
was, of course, kind of the face. And yes, he kind of had that. He had to be put over by CM Punk at one point, but he was the
yeah.
face and he was the guy that you could get behind. And I did. I was there, especially in that rivalry. I was on side Triple H. I didn't know who Kevin Nash was at the time. It didn't matter that I didn't know who Kevin Nash was at the time. I was still going to be on the side of Triple H. So
You
yeah, I definitely was invested.
You mentioned there that now you have sort of 14 years later, you have a wealth of knowledge when it comes to wrestling. So when did that
Yeah.
sort of wanting to learn the history about wrestling and sort of know more about wrestling come sort of into your fandom?
A lot of it, I don't want to say a lot of it, but I mean some of it starts with, I mean, you like playing the video games. You have the 30 years of WrestleMania, you have the Attitude Era, and those would have been kind of key kindlings of a fire where it was like those are the initial startings of okay, those are some of the things that like gave me the knowledge of past of the Attitude Era of 30 years of WrestleMania, doing the showcases for I mean Cena and CM Punk. I saw most of it, but like Triple H and Shawn Michaels was one of the showcases. And I mean there's however many other showcases that they did, and there's how many more. And I mean even now like they are still fun now where you can do they did Ray's career, they did Cena's career, they did another 40 years of WrestleMania recently. I think was that last year? I think it was last year. Was that last year or this year?
Yes,
The 40. Hmm?
yes, I want to say,
I
yeah.
think it's one of the two. It's either this year or last year. I
Mm.
shows you how much of a blur they actually
Oh
can
yeah.
get. But like that, those I mean, those are definitely the kindlings. And I mean, I not that I was only a WWE or exposed to WWE since the beginning. One of my core first non WWE memories was Lockdown 2012.
Mm.
James Storm, Bobby Roode. super kick, and Bobby Roode falls out of the cage to win. And that's your first, that's like the robbery of where you were such a, like James Storm was clearly the face in that and happening. So it's not a matter of I was only WWE for a certain amount of time. I knew of TNA. I learned of Ring of Honor a couple years later. I learned about that once I was able to actually get a hold of technology. I got interested into the independents. Like there's the PWGs. I was one of the I was definitely ahead of when like WCW or not WCW, WCPW started, and
Mm,
watching those and watching that kind of not meteoric rise and fall that happened there. I got into Progress in like 2017, 2018. I um, even watching the WWE Network, you got the ECW, you got the WCW when before it had the good stuff, like before they lost it recently. But like when they had those old pay-per-views and what even watching with my dad and being like, hey, what old show do we want to watch? And watching kind of the notorious, not the notoriously bad stuff, but watching that, watching ECW. I think one of, I mean, I think it's Tajiri and Mikey Whipwreck versus the Full-Blooded Italians.
yeah, yeah.
One of the best tag matches in ECW history. That is, I don't know where it is now, but I wish I at least kept it at some point. But like that's still looking back at that, that's fun. So I mean, I've been able to form a wealth of knowledge based on that, based on studying cage match. You got Wikipedia's with the King of the Ring winners, the Money in the Bank winners. I mean, I've hosted a couple quizzes at this point as well as a part of the Wrestling Republic, but like I can sit there and say I I have a wealth of knowledge, and I think I'm pretty sure I was the first one that kind of put it out that if Bronson Reed were to pin Roman Reigns, that he'd be one of two people to do it because Finn
Mm,
Balor. I guess there's one of three because Samoa Joe pinned Okada in TNA, but like it was Finn Balor was the first one, or I guess the second one. But like there very few wrestlers have pinned Okada and Roman Reigns.
mm,
And like I think like those are some of the obscure wrestling facts that I think about and I explore and I look up, and it's like and I know how cage matches, I know how to work it. I'm glad it actually loads on Google now because we know that happened for like
yeah.
a good 6 months where you couldn't get the actual thing you're looking for and it would just eat you alive. But that happens. I mean, but yeah, I got a lot and I've learned a lot and I've looked back at a lot of things, and yeah, the knowledge is there, but it is definitely one of the strongest things I can sit there and say I know a lot about wrestling, and I'm
Mm.
that much of a nerd. But that's what a lot of people are
Oh,
when it comes
definitely.
to wrestling.
You mentioned your dad there. Does that mean that your dad was previously a fan and he was sort of your gateway into this sort of thing?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. He didn't order many pay-per-views as a child, but it definitely would have been like, oh yeah, he's the reason that it was on the television in the first place. He ordered WrestleMania 27 and I'm sitting there and that's how that connection has happened. He is even going to local indie stuffs. Like I went to the oh, WWE Live in 2011, right when I was starting to be a wrestling fan and
Mm,
seeing CM Punk, Alberto Del Rio, John Cena there. And it's like those, I think those were kind of, they had like two matches among there and even other live events as well. And even going to like the independent scene here. And I don't want to say it's slim pickings, but it ain't great here. But
mm.
like I've been able to meet, like the first independent wrestling event I went to, Gangrel was the kind
Oh,
of the
wow.
special guest. So like that was the first one, and we went continued, and I I've met a lot of wrestlers, and that's great to say. There's a lot that do come here, but the scene has incredibly changed, and it's something that does interest me as well, is how one company who was able to bring in um I think they brought, I'm pretty sure they brought in like Ryback, Mick Foley, and I think it was Victoria. I think it was
Mm.
Victoria. And it like that in the span of a year and a half, and that kind of being the kicker of what kind of killed them. and it killed the company. But it's like there's a lot of fascinating things that happened here as well. But yeah, 100%. I'm not a wrestling fan if he's not the reason it's on the television.
Mm. Where is your sort of blind spot, Kobe? Because we all have we all say, oh yeah, we're nerds and stuff, but I know there's certain areas that if you ask me, I'm like, no, maybe I don't know as much as I thought. Where's your sort of blind spot as a wrestling fan, if you know what I mean?
I get what you're saying. What's my weakness? In a quiz, what's my weakness? It would probably be the 80s in that area, maybe early 90s. And then I'd also include like probably like just older Japanese wrestling, like in the 90s. In that, like I have a good idea of 2010s to now, but like if you like the how the Triple Crown was found, I'm like it's something I've looked at, but I can't sit there and say I can recite what happened with the Triple Crown and all that.
Mm.
But like there are definitely some, but like I got a good wealth along the way. The well was deep. And I displayed that by winning the quiz
As
tournament.
we record this in October of 2025, Kobe, where is your current fandom?
My current fandom does reside in, I mean, keeping track of a lot of things. I still watch the weekly shows. I do my best to watch some of the. I do my best to watch AEW. I've spent over the last few years, I've spent time working Wednesday nights. So obviously, wow, that I can pay attention, I can read results, I can look at that, but I mean, I can't sit there and say I've watched every single bit of it. But I do pay attention and I do learn and I'm in the loop and I'm not out of it. I mean, I know what's happening in the major companies. TNA as a weekly product doesn't interest me, but the pay-per-views are normally quite fun.
Mm.
I mean, New Japan, I watched every single G1 match this year, and I mean, I should have rated it, but that's beside the point. I've watched all that. I do got to get catch up on what's happened post G1, especially watching it. But I do know the title changes that have happened there. But I mean, I pay attention to WWE. I pay attention to AEW. I'm in the loop with TNA, New Japan, other indies as well. Like I've watched, still continued to watch some local stuff where, and I mean, this is the interesting part is I know this kind of fact kind of resurfaced how Latimer's not the NWA World Champion right now.
Mm.
So 2 weeks ago, I actually saw him defend the NWA World Championship,
Yeah.
even though he's lost it. And it was, I mean, it was the first time ever match of Frankie Kazarian versus Tom Latimer. And it was a title for title match with the local title and then the NWA title. You knew there was going to be a screw finish based on it being the NWA title, and we're not going to get a little buck snort town, going to get a world title change there. But like and then like a week later, it's just interesting. It's like, wait, Latimer isn't even the champion and is just defending it because he's kayfabe hasn't televised, he
His
hasn't
loss
lost
hasn't
it
been
on
televised.
television. His exactly, which is it's just interesting and it's funny and it's cool. But like there and like that's the thing that like I mean I talk about the local scene and that's crazy to sit there and say even smaller town that is just close to me is bringing in world-class talent. We've had in the they've had 4 shows this year and they kind of shut down because the winter's gonna absolutely suck and you're not
Yeah.
gonna pay wrestlers to come here and travel in this winter. But they've had 4 shows and we've had stars like Cody Deaner, Crazy Steve, Frankie Kazarian's been the figurehead. They've had Ace Austin and then he got signed, but Ace Austin was here a couple times. We had a absolute banger of one of the best independent women's matches I've ever seen in Janai Kai versus Miyu Yamashita. And it's like yeah, exactly. The jaw dropped, and I can see it, and that I can see the salvation, and that gets you excited. But we've seen that, we've had that. I've had Latimer, and even them mixing up with local talent in the local scene, and it's just so interesting. And it's like I'm glad a backing of that sort is happening here because it's like. There's the one that are bringing in the local talent and the imports, if you want to call them that, people from America, people from other provinces in Canada. Other than that, like there is a difference between the companies here. And it's so interesting there. But I am still very much involved in wrestling. I've kind of taken a step back with Wrestling Republic. I don't think I've had many podcasts in the last how many months. I think I've done maybe one or two beyond me winning the quiz.
Mm.
So based on just life, but I've still been able to be a part of wrestling. I'm here, I'm making the ratings. I'm just not contributing majorly anymore right now at this point. But I'm still here. I'm still involved. There's a reason why I'm not denying you of an interview of a Wrestling Republic representative because I'm still a part of it. I'm still there. I'm still a part of the great team we have.
Mm.
And it is amazing to see how far it's grown, and especially the fact that we're approaching 3 years for our daily show. That I mean, not many people are going to make it past 10 episodes. We are approaching 1,000, and we approached 1,000. We made it a couple, like I want to say 4 or 5 weeks ago in September, where we were able to be like, it's been 1,000 days, and
Oh
we
wow.
are very much thankful that we've been able to do this. And you can see from day one how we've all changed, and it's something magical. The fact that we've been able to do it, and we have the team that we have.
That's really, really cool. I, as you said, I spoke to your co-host Ben recently on the channel. How do you, and he told the story of how you joined Wrestling Republic. Basically, you reached out to them, as I understand it, and was like, dude, your reviewing format is terrible. Like, let me help you, as I understand it. So, how did you join in sort of your perspective?
Okay, so that is an accurate story of what happened in my first little bit, but it would have been like just Instagram Explorer, and it would have been this post, and they would have been like, "Hey, we are looking for writers," and one of the guys, I can't remember which site he went to, but they were leaving Republic to go to, I think it was Wrestling Inc. And it was like, okay, this NXT UK reviewer is
Mm.
leaving. And he did a lot more than NXT UK reviewing. But that's exactly what I started with, is I was brought in as the NXT UK reviewer. And on the original system, I have written reviews on that, but a couple weeks passed since I officially joined the team. We kind of had like a group meeting with the
Yeah,
company. And it was a lot of, okay, this is what we want to do. This is where we want to go. Just addressing it, and we are we want to know where we're going and being transparent, especially if we have a boss, Ben Allison, and where we go. And we kind of had it's been a couple reviewers, and I basically said 2 weeks into the position, if that, that this system's terrible, because I always called it like it was like a bingo system for rating matches where, okay, we're gonna click, 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 oh, click, click, and count how many to determine the star rating. And it was just so weird. It was made by another wrestler, eh, and I don't know if Ben disclosed that. It's not my place to. But I do know it was made by another wrestler, and I basically said, "Hey, this isn't good because there's a lot of weird stuff, and there was still nuance of, okay, could I take this and skew it differently? Could I misunderstand that and give it a different rating for two different people? Yeah." And that's where I kind of basically said, yeah, I have an idea, and I didn't just go, hey, your system sucks, but I don't know what to do with it.
yeah,
I did. And we've made the system we currently have where, I mean, I I go to school for a lot of for secondary education, so like learning how to teach and stuff. And I at the time I was learning, and I've seen it, and we've kind of modeled the system off of a rubric of
yeah,
how you would earn grades of like, okay, well, this is good, whatever, one, beginning, medium, progressing, exceeding, and that being assigned a star rating. And we have how many categories, and that's what we've been able to do, and we've been able to write it. We've we are looking to change it up in the future in a bit, but it's been the same for 3 years. We've had approved from wrestlers that are on main screen television that are on the main products, and it's kind of been vetted through there where they go, okay, that is nice. And my entire idea was, and of course we all know we all don't know the man, the name, and I don't have to name it. But my entire thing is it very much seems like, and it's true that his numbers are based on feeling.
Yeah.
The entire idea about creating a system is to sit there and say, if this is a 5-star match, this is what we consider to be a 5-star match. Is it meets this criteria, and it builds a system that can't be broken because we're not assigning a the max a category can get, like storytelling or atmosphere can get as 1, not 1.25. We're not going to make a system that supports breaking a 5-star system, and we
Yeah.
haven't. We haven't broken it, and I know we haven't. But like that's the entire thing. I don't want it to be a thing where, especially as a critic, it just appears like I'm pulling numbers out of nowhere.
Mm. I
And
understand.
that was kind of the entire that was the inspiration of, let's make something that we can be critics with, that doesn't include bias, where it's not like, okay, my point of view is this is the 5-star. It's like, well, can you argue what makes a 5-star based on our system? And that's kind of where this is. And we've been featured on other stories. I think it was the Swerve Hangman Texas death
Yeah.
that got that it was on Swerve's story, and we have numerous wrestlers actually interacting with the post, so it isn't unnoticed by any means, and we 100% get flack with the rating system, and it depends who's on it because there is a team and it's not just me, but there's 100% people who are gonna go, oh, why'd you rate this 5 stars? Why? Oh, this should have been 5 stars. And then you're always gonna get that. I mean, Meltzer gets it. I We get it also, and that's just kind of the nature of the beast. Is you're always gonna have audiences. You're never gonna please the audience. But if we can make a repertoire, if we can make a thing that's been a consistent thing for how long, if we have a history and we've been able to build this from essentially nothing, a better system from nothing, and we can actually say, well, this has been a thing for 10 years, then there's that reliability.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been 10 years, not by a long shot, but like if this continues, if we can, if like if Wrestling Republic doesn't die and we continue to rate and we continue to do this, we can sit there and say, well, we've been rating for this long and we can be reliable because the system hasn't changed. And that's the thing. We see Meltzer breaking the scale a lot more. And it's like, well, would that have been a 5-star match? How long ago? Or how long ago? What made a 5-star match? And but now it's this much, and it's like there's a lot of nuances and a lot of things where, like, I understand it's one man's opinion, but a lot of wrestling fans take it as gospel, and that's the
Yeah.
thing that is like, it's pain, it's struggling because it's like, oh well, how did you not like it? It was 5 stars from Dave Meltzer, and it's like that shouldn't matter, and it shouldn't, it
Mm.
never should. It can be used as a baseline. If Meltzer rates something a 5 star, it's like, okay, yeah, maybe I should check this out. Or, and I mean, the big one, I guess, recently is, I guess there's two big ones. Kendall Gray and Callie Armstrong getting a 4 star in Evolve, and not really people pay much attention to Evolve. That tells you, okay, if it's getting kind of that high on Meltzer, it might be a match to check out.
Yeah.
Or you can see how Seth and Cody got a low grading, and I don't agree with it. It's another man's opinion, but I do think that match was better than what Meltzer gave it.
Mm.
And it was definitely graded higher on our system. So,
Mm.
but yeah, that yeah, and I mean, I meant I'm going on many tangents, but yeah, that's essentially 2 weeks into the job. I told him your system sucks because
Mm.
we've moved from I want to say a bingo system to some like an actual chart.
You mentioned there that you came up with the idea. I know from talking to Ben that the only reason he was willing to listen to you was because you had constructive criticism. You weren't just like, that sucks. but I don't have anything to replace it with. So how did you sort of come up with that sort of like before you approached him, had you already come up with an alternative sort of thing?
Kinda. I mean, that's the thing, and I like we've had people tell us this is what we would, or this is what sucks with your brand, and then it's like, well, what would you do differently? And they have no idea. It's like, well, no, that entire meeting was this is what I would do. This is something like that inspires me because I've encountered it in schooling. And this is where it looks like this is what I could do. We could do it simply. We did co-create it, but I definitely was the entire reason why we went in that direction. And yeah, that is the 100% the only reason Ben listened to me is because I said, this is my idea, something like this, something that looks like this, and let's roll with this. And we were able to co-create it beyond that. But yeah, I was the entire reason why this system was made in this current iteration.
Mm. We've mentioned the star rating system and things like that a lot, but what else do you think you bring to Wrestling Republic that like maybe they didn't have before you came on board?
Um, we, I mean, there's a lot of things, and I mean, I pride myself on being the only Canadian a part of the brand right now. And I don't think I have an accent or at least a stereotypical one for Canada. But like I mean, I'm the only Canadian a part of the brand, and it is an international brand. We've had someone in Japan writing for us for a brief moment, and as a part of our YouTube as well. We have people
Mm.
across the world, like Ben's from Welsh. We've had someone from Scotland. We have several people from the UK. We have a lot of people from the States as well, and we continue to grow this tremendous team that is not only just from one place in the world, it is international. And I think that's one of the kind of defining features that we can sit there and say that, I mean, I contribute to that. I'm the only Canadian. The other thing is I mean, I've been a tech nerd. So when we kind of moved forward and continued to go with, okay, let's start doing video content. Let's start podcasting. I was kind of the initial like person who was figuring out how to work StreamYard, how to do this, how to tag videos,
Mm.
how to do this, and like what extensions to use, what tools, and go from there. And I mean, Ben is a tremendous graphic artist that he does everything with Wrestling Republic on by himself. So he's 100% a trooper for what he's done for I want to say I think it's 7 years, and it started off as just an AJ Styles fan page.
Oh yeah.
But like there's a lot of things where it's like, yeah, I was also one of the other tech nerds that was able to do this, and I was able to teach people how to use StreamYard. And I mean, one of our top members, the other co-host of the Daily, I no, he's not a good tech person, but I've been able to teach him that, and we've been able to explore StreamYard. We've able to explore that. Learning WordPress has been something that I know Ben was the original guy and who's been able to go, okay, well now we have people writing articles because we were focused on news a lot before, and then now it's kind of just been opinion pieces and reviews. Reviews kind of taking a pause for the cause right now, aside from just live posting. But like it's forever evolved and learning how to do things in WordPress, and that's something like I we've made tutorials for the members of the review team, and how we want things and building structures and building processes that I mean, this isn't just, even though we've done this in such a nuanced part of, I mean, wrestling fandom, that this can be applied elsewhere. I've been a leader, and like you said, I'm the head of reviewing, and I've had people come and go in my team, and it's been a small team, not by a lot, not by many other names, but like I was the sole reason one the co-host of the daily podcast, Clark Taylor, which I think he's willing to talk your head off at some point as well. But like I'm the reason why he was learning WordPress because
Yeah.
I got on Zoom making him share his screen, teaching him how to do this, telling him where to go, what to do, how to copy and paste things, what pictures, all that. I'm the whole sole reason why he started this, and he's been a success, and he's been one of the catalysts that moved us towards other content like video as well. So I mean, we've done a lot, and I've contributed to a lot more than just being the head of reviewing that birthed the system, and I think I've written 300 reviews or at least 300 articles
Oh wow.
in the span of 4 years because we started the daily the year after I joined, or the December after, the same time the year after. So it'd be 4 years, daily shows, be just reaching our third anniversary this year. So yeah, I mean, I've been here a lot and I've written a lot, and that's a lot of pay-per-views, that's a lot of weekly shows. And I mean, it's been a break right now, but there's a lot of contributions I've made, and I've been able to do live posting as well. I can continue to go on and about things I've done and and I mean, when we part of the beauty of this, as I mentioned, the international aspect. Six people from all around the world, people from the UK, people from different places in the States, and of course me in Canada. Six of us met up for WrestleMania 39.
Yeah.
None of us knowing each other at all. None of us ever meeting in person beyond that. We met up for the first time. We made 39 one hell of a trip. And I mean, I was one of the guys who was making sure the tech side of things, because we did a couple in-person podcasts at that point because our team was a little smaller than it is now. And all the people that were on the trip were a part of the podcasting team. So it was like, well, we have to do in-person podcasts. So we had how many mics and we had how many cameras and how many mic boxes that we had. And like we had a professional setup that I was able to contribute at the time and make sure things went right at that point. But there's a lot of experiences I can sit there and say that I've contributed to.
What about if we flip the question and we say, what do you think Wrestling Republic has helped you with and things like that?
That actually is a great question. To be fair, the one thing, and especially with my connection to education, and being a public speaker, I mean, there's 100% confidence that, like, if I can get on and do a podcast for how many years and to grow as a speaker, and not even just as a motivational speaker, but if I can grow as someone, as a storyteller, as someone who's speaking in front of a camera on a mic, it's the same thing as public speaking, getting up in front of how many people and teaching. And that's 100%
Mm.
something that has contributed to this, because this is something you can see me in day one and see me day now that I've 100% grown as a podcaster in that sense, and that's 100% contributed to what I might end up doing for the rest of my life outside of Wrestling Republic. And even then, like it's also created that work ethic, doing a weekly review, doing a set, being able to be a leader. Those are all qualities where, yes, I've done this kind of outside the workforce as a part of Wrestling Republic, but it's 100% something that can be applied elsewhere. These are skills that aren't just applicable in the nuance hobby section of our lives.
Yeah.
It's something that being a leader, having tech skills, knowing WordPress, knowing all these things and a lot more. I'm sure I'm missing something that has Wrestling Republic has given me the opportunity to grow as a speaker, as a writer, and it's also been able to where I can sit there and say, well, my writing's grown from here, and I've been able to at least stay sharp writing wise in that sense. But there's a handful of things that it's been able to sharpen, if I'm using it kind of that knife analogy. The blade's been sharpened.
I get what you mean. Something that's a little bit controversial I wanted to talk about is Ben was quite open with me when we recorded that he's autistic and things like that, and has some mental health struggles and things like that. So, how much did you know about Ben's medical needs when he asked you to join and things like that?
Originally none. And I can't say, and that's not a warning or anything to say bad about it. Like since I've joined, he's been made a lot more public statements and why like he's been able to put the why behind Wrestling Republic a lot more and a lot bigger in a lot greater details since I've joined. And that's not me saying I that's not me being ignorant. He might have been more transparent before I joined, but I mean it's something that I saw days after. I was like, okay, I'm gonna try this because they were looking for writers. And it's not like it surprises me, and it doesn't sit there as something that is it's not a bad omen or anything. It's not something that brings us down, and it shows that we have several people on the team as a part of the autistic spectrum.
Mm,
And it just shows you that we give chances to a lot. We are a lot more, not I don't want to say a lot more inclusive, but we are inclusive to people around the world, people with different needs, different personalities, people who are, if you want to call loud and obnoxious, and Mr. Cody Rhodes hater Clark Taylor
mm,
over there, or people who are even soft spoken, which could be me as well. But like I can't sit there and say I've known a lot about Ben before I joined, but I've definitely can sit there and say I know a lot about him now in that sense.
mm. I
But it,
understand.
it hasn't changed. He's still a tremendous leader, and
Oh,
he's still
definitely.
someone that
And I
has
didn't want that to seem like
built a team to be
putting
proud
him
of.
down, sort of thing.
No, not at all. And it's not something to put him down. It's a matter of when people would actually say that in the comments because it's happened. Well, what are you autistic or something? And it's like, well, yeah, he is. It's not a foot down or anything. It's not something to look down upon, but it's almost a testament to say that someone who was given such a gift has been able to create this. We are I don't want to say we're a monster right now, but I think we're one of the leading brands for wrestling on Instagram. I think we're one of them. Like we beat a lot of people. We beat a lot of people in engagement and in following and all that. And it is something to be very proud of.
That's really, really cool. What you seem to have sort of just taken a chance, if I'm honest, and been like, I'm a fan of these people. I think I can help these people and things like that. So, what would your advice be for anyone that wants to be in your position creating and things like that?
Reach out. If you want to be a content creator, don't make it a what if. And then what I mean by that is if you are always going to look back on something as, well, what if I tried that? That's that's not helpful. If you actually try, if you actually make the attempt, there's the saying of you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take.
Mm,
And that's exactly what this is. If you don't try to do something, if you don't reach out and try to do something, if you don't try, you can't say if you would have been a success or not. And I think that's exactly what this is. I can't sit there and say I'm the greatest writer of all time. I'm not by any means, but I can sit there and say I've been able to contribute in terms of writing with Wrestling Republic. I've been able to be someone on, not, I don't want to say one of the faces, but I've been able to be on the screen, on the video platform, becoming a better public speaker in that sense.
mm,
And like it's personal growth can happen at any time in any place, but it's a matter of at least taking a step in the right direction. If you're going to attempt to go down a path of self-growth or or to try something, you have to take a step. You can't just stand there and say, "Well, I'm not going to try," or "I'm not going to go down this path of life." Then it's that entire thing of, well, what if? If you want to do this, if you are passionate about it, if you want to sit there and say, well, I want to be a YouTuber or I want to be a part of content, I think I can provide something. You aren't doing yourself any favors if you're not going to reach out, if you're not going to take the steps down that path.
mm. I understand what you're saying completely there. As we start wrapping this up, because believe it or not, we've been talking 45 minutes, and I do want to be respectful of your time, my friend. Where where do
Professional
you
yapper over here.
where do you want to see Wrestling Republic sort of go, if you and I were to talk next year or maybe in a couple of years' time, what do you want to say to me that maybe you've achieved or Wrestling Republic's achieved in the next sort of couple of years, sort of thing?
There's a lot of milestones, and I think we want to just we want to continue to see growth. And there's what something that, and I don't know the exact numbers, and I don't know if Ben has stated them, but our YouTube has grown, I want to say 6,000 in the last month. Like we are, like if I'm using like a graph or if I'm using a visual aspect, we are starting to see that uphill exponential growth aspect. And for the next year, I would 100% be excited to just see where this goes because that's what we want to do is we want to make Wrestling Republic something that can be what we make a living on. We have a great team and we have a great team, but we want to do this for the rest of our life. We are this passionate about wrestling, and that's part of what our team is. And if we grow a team bigger than that and find like-minded individuals, that's something that can 100% happen, and I expect to happen. And not like it grows massively, but I expect to see at least a handful more names joining the team in the next how long because we've continued to add names and some have left, some have kind of taken a pause for the cause, some haven't stuck around. But I mean, we've been able to grow a tremendous team, and I think that's still where we're going to keep going. Is we're still going to keep producing what we do at a high level without the financial backing. And that's where we are right now. And that not that we're taking over, but we are growing and we are doing something that shouldn't be done with the team we have, with the resources we actually have.
Mm,
So that's where I'm 100% proud. Wrestling Republic is a force to be reckoned with. And it's something to be proud of that we've been able to create with the limited resources that we do have.
mm. You
Now,
mentioned
I expect the growth to continue.
I understand what you're saying completely there. You mentioned other creators have come and gone and things like that. Who are the creators in the space, big or small, that you don't work with that you're like, it'd be fun to do something with them, even if it's just a video or just a couple of articles?
The biggest thing is I have a tremendous respect for Sean Ross Sapp. And that's someone, at least, even if I met at a wrestling show, that I would sit there and go, I want to shake this man's hand because he's been not been such a constant, but he's been someone that can sit there and say, well, I know I can see how under fire he gets and how people are attacking him, and he just constantly continues to deliver. He's one of the most reliable names out there.
Mm,
I think he's just someone that I want to sit there and say, well, that's someone, not that he's the face of wrestling media, but he's one of the top names where I would sit there and say, yeah, I mean, if there's a point in time where I can sit there, shake his hand, that he knows what I've done, that there's something, I guess there's some bit of proudness that I can have at some point. I know one of our guys on the team has worked with SP3 for a bit. And I mean, he's been on shows with SP3. We do have great connections. We've had a working relationship with some of the other content creators. We at least have a connection with Wheezy Blonde, Santi Zap. Uh, I think I'm pretty sure we have a good one with Muscle Man Malcolm. So we have a lot of connections, and our network is only going to get stronger in in the future. But there's a lot of names that I would sit there and be like, yeah, to collaborate with them would be special for me as well.
it's really, really cool. As we look at wrapping this up, because like I said, I don't want to be respectful of your time. I'm curious to talk about success and things like that. You mentioned a few times that you've stepped away for the cause, if you know what I mean, in your own words, sort of thing, because life gets in the way and things like that sometimes. You mentioned that you've stepped away. If you were to step away permanently for whatever reason, would you view your time with Wrestling Republic as a success? And how do you define success?
Yes, I 100% would say it, and I mean I've said several aspects of it, and what's Wrestling Republic has done for me, and that's what I've been able to do Wrestling Republic. And if I ever had to step away permanently, if I was ever in the position where, yeah, this is a constant that I kind of have to take a take a pause for the cause at that point. But I, I don't imagine it happening, but if I did, I 100% would say it's a success because I've done a lot of things. I've built a lot of things. I've been a great leader. I've been a constant for this brand for almost 4 years. And there's a lot of people that even internally and inside the team that would contribute what I've done and continue to be like, yeah, you've done a lot for this even behind the screens, even in the internal aspect of Wrestling Republic, I've been someone that I've been someone that's incredibly been helpful. Success to me, especially in this space, is just making a difference, and that's something I can sit there and say I have done. If I can make a difference, if I can do something that I can be proud of, I can find success. And that's not just okay, if if I leave Wrestling Republic and we haven't been able to make this a financial success, then I can't sit there and say that maybe that's the only type of success I can't sit there and say it's happened, but I still wouldn't say it's been a failure. There's other success outside of the financial aspect and getting paid to do this type of thing. We do this for the love of the game right now, and we
Yeah.
want to get to the point where we make this our living, but our passion drives us right now. And that's something that I can sit there and say isn't in the way. It's not in the way. My passion's still 100% there. It's just real what I'm doing in real life right now. I'm not available to do what I could do 2 months ago, where I could stay up a little later and get some reviews out. And because I was notorious for, especially when I was out of work, that, oh yeah, 4 o'clock in the morning posting reviews.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's done. Now I can go to bed. But I've been able to do that before, and now I really can't. So it's just the time and the contribution aspect that is a lot more limited, and that's why I've been able to take a pause and been able to kind of take a step back. But we've been able to contribute at least to a great. I'm still able to contribute, just not as much as a great length as what I was a couple months ago, and that's fine. I can imagine it gets back there at some point,
Mm. You
and
mentioned
it and things will progress to make it easier on me.
you mentioned stepping away there and things like that because real life gets in the way. Did you feel like you'd left Wrestling Republic in a good place that you're like, yeah, I can step away from the time being for the time being, sort of thing, and just do background stuff for now? Did you feel like you'd left it in a good place with co-hosts and things
Yeah,
like
yeah. So I mean, I keep saying, we have a team and we only have so many spots on the daily show. I was at a point, especially this summer, it was like, yeah, I could do shows, but then I'm just another number for Ben to be for when we're making a weekly schedule for our daily, because we try to do it a week ahead every week, where it's like, okay, these are the people doing the shows for this week. And it's like I left it in a good place because I wasn't at a point where it's like, well, if I'm suddenly not available for any of these dates, that there is nobody to fill them. And that was
that?
something years ago that we were worried about. Is like, our team was 6 or 7 people. Well, if one person leaves, then we might have a big difference. We have a team twice that size now, where I even though I was available, I didn't have to do podcasts. I didn't have to be the guy. I didn't have to sit there and go, well, yeah, you have to put me on shows. If I can do shows, but you don't have to prioritize me. I have other responsibilities with Wrestling Republic. I'm not just a video podcaster. I'm the head of reviewing. I've done many articles done. I have a team, and I feel like, while the reviews have kind of taken a step back, but it wasn't just me. The review team's small, and it's a couple people. It's me and a couple others. So the fact that we were able to take a break instead of just me, and it didn't feel like there was a big gap. The fact that it was we're taking a break, we might refine the system, we'll contribute to live posting. But we will probably take a step back from actually contributing to the website. that's where it's like, well, my absence isn't like a downfall of anything right now.
Yeah.
And that's what I would sit there and say, yeah, my absence or my limited contributions isn't a black hole of any sort right now. It's fine. We are content, and when the time comes to get back into the swing of things, I can imagine that. I mean, I'll be there to podcast if needed. I'll be there to do get back to do posting reviews in a grander format in that sense. But there's 100% a future that'll happen where that's where we end up going, where it gets that kind of swing gets back up, and if I'm
Mm.
using the visual of a hill, we get back up. We're kind of at a down point right now, but it's kind of a group down point, not just a me down point. My passion's still here. We all have passion in Wrestling Republic, and that's beautiful.
What do you want the overall legacy of Wrestling Republic to be in the future?
One of the things that I know Ben mentions is we want to give a voice to as many people as possible.
Mm.
And we do that by letting people write in, by letting people send in their responses, send in their comments. We do with Mailbag Monday, where it's like, okay, ask us anything, give us topics to talk about, where we can actually sit there and say, well, this is where we're going from here. And we're giving people outside inside the team a voice that might not have had it elsewhere, that might have only went, okay, well, we're there. We had a couple people who not dominate, but are big faces of the TikTok community where they're doing the lives, and it's like, well, you can come here now and you can have a different audience, and in that sense, so we give a large wealth and a large diversity of opinions, because not only do we have the international aspect, but we all are going to have different opinions, and that may or may not be related to us being all around the world. There's people who love their Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate in our group, and there's people who are going to go, well, they don't. That doesn't they don't entertain them, and that's fine.
Mm.
That's what we do is we have a diversity of opinions, and a that isn't just inside the group, it's outside, it's international. And we put a platform where we actually let the people kind of dictate where not dictate where we go, but influence where we go and what we do, to the point where it's like this, not that we were the people's champion of the IWC, but we want to be someone where if you've been a fan and you have ideas and you are willing to speak out and have us talk about what you want to talk about, that's where we go. Is we go from what the people talk we go from what these people want to talk about and where they want to see us go, and that's what we do. We let the people have a driving force of the ship we are on, if I'm
Mm.
going to use that analogy.
I understand what you're saying completely there. As we look at wrapping this up, my friend, we are going to do the
Yeah.
classic Tom
I
Talks
still
Rubbish.
got some water. I still got some water. I'm not that empty.
No worries.
We'd be wrapping it up if I'm empty.
No worries.
If I'm that
As we
empty.
look at wrapping this up, as I do want to be respectful of your time, my friend, we're going to do the classic Tom Talks Rubbish wrap up segment known as generic wrestling questions. Those of you that have seen my interviews before know this is where I will ask Coby his favorite match of all time, his favorite wrestler's entrance theme of all time, his favorite pay per view card of all time, his favorite wrestler's entrance theme of all time, his favorite tag team of all time, and the biggest generic question of all, guys, his favorite wrestler of all time. Basically, the questions I assume you guys might ask him on social media or in podcasts. So now he'll have a place to be like, I've answered this. Please go watch this. So, what's your favorite match of all time?
Favorite match of all time, and I don't know if this is just the childhood bias or not, but to me, I look back on end of an era, WrestleMania 28, Triple H, Undertaker, Hell in a Cell. The emotion that gets out of me back then, that it can still get out of me now, and it's there. I can feel the impact now more now, especially that I didn't know the history of them back then, but the emotion's still there. How the kickouts break Shawn Michaels as a
Yeah.
ref, but like just to see those involved in kind of this one big last hurrah. No crown jewel, but
Yeah.
this is the proper end of an era that we saw outside of those kind of two one-offs. I think it was what, 2017 or 18. I think they did
18,
one
I
one
believe.
last time, Triple H versus The Undertaker in Australia,
Isn't
or
that
the
what end of
Crown
an era
Jewel Brothers
means?
of. Yeah, exactly. They had the money and went, let's change this now. End of an era, 28, WrestleMania 28. That's my childhood answer, and that's still probably my answer right now. There's still how many matches I could sit there and go, oh, I love that match, I love that match, I love that match. That's the given for right now.
That's really, really cool. What about your favorite overall pay-per-view card of all time?
See, that's a tough one. That's a tough one because you got to look back at pay-per-views and you got to
Yeah,
look
yeah.
back. Arguably, that's a tough one. That's a very tough one. It might be it might be All Out Wembley 2024.
Mm,
So the second Wembley. Because I think the first one I can't sit there. There's not much I'd sit there and go, oh, I gotta go back and watch that. All Out 24, All Out 2024, or not All Out, All In, Wembley, All
mm.
In. So London, all in London. That's what I'm thinking. All in London 2024 probably is the one that I can sit there and say, yeah, that's probably one of the perfect cards of all time.
What about your favorite wrestler's entrance music of all time?
Entrance music. One entrance music, that's a tough one. I arguably might go with Call to Personality
Mm,
because it is such just a banger song outside of wrestling.
mm. That's really, really cool. What about your favorite tag team of all time?
Tag team. Uh, I because like the thing is I mean I grew up with the New Day era and then I guess New Day and Usos. But to me and it it, it the thing that makes me feel something the most right now is DIY.
Mm,
Espe Seeing them a part of Homecoming, it was like even them in back in NXT setting, and it's like Chrome Hearts, they're the faces. It's like, why can't I, like, I want to feel this on the main roster, and I do still I am still entertained by DIY, but I do think are probably those two are probably the ones I have the most kind of outright connection with, where I can sit there and say they can make me feel something at any point in time.
that's really, really cool. And then finally, Colby, the biggest generic question of all time. Who is your favorite overall wrestler of all time?
I gotta go with John Cena. I grew up with him as the face of the company, and even when people talk about the retirement run, and as people are gonna say, oh, it's been a disaster, and it's like I still can't sit there. I can't sit here and say that this feels like a corporate John Cena showing up. Hi, how's it going? This is my last year. Blah blah blah. He's playing the hits. No, I can still sit here and say that Cena has made me feel something. And that's what a lot of time what wrestling is feeling that connection, feeling that emotional investment. And John Cena does it for me every time. Whether it was the beginning of the year, whether it was the heel promos after on the road to WrestleMania, even after WrestleMania, he still had a like he could still move me emotionally. And I think that's always something that John Cena can do, especially for me. And there's a lot of people that'll feel the same way, but John Cena has to be it for me.
That's really, really cool. And as we wrap this up, obviously, I want to say thank you for a great conversation. But the question I end this show on is I believe as YouTubers, podcasters, even just people with some good old social media, we're all sort of going to live forever in a very, very strange way if you think about the world. So what is one piece of content you're like, I'd like to be remembered for that? And then what is one that you're like, nah, I'm good, guys. Please forget about that one.
I mean, there's historical whiffs on the daily broadcast that if people find them, they can go laugh at them, and I think that's what happens there. But I mean, there's a lot of I. There, to be fair, what I want to be remembered, and if this continues, and if my legacy continues, is I've been one of the that I can end up being one of the best quizzers of all time. If I can continue my streak, if I can, there's a lot of people that fear me in Wrestling Republic that don't want me a part of the next annual quiz tournament that we do. But Ben's not going to let me have buys, so. I gotta continue the undefeated streak and continue to go there. And if I can continue doing that, and my wealth of knowledge and how I understand my understanding of wrestling, I hope that is something that can be cherished and not being a moment of where people go, oh, that's going to be a cringe thing. It's not a cringe thing. It's something that I can sit there and be proud of. If I
That's
can be
really,
someone, one of what a top mind in wrestling.
that's really, really cool. As we wrap this up, obviously, I want to say thank you for a great conversation, but please promote yourself. Where can the good people find you, your work, etc.?
Okay, Wrestling Republic, of course, is my main brand. On X, I am CM Galanzowski WR. That's kind of a tougher one to find. Instagram is just my first name and last name, and you can see it on the screen here as well. I mean, I don't primarily use you. I don't have my own YouTube or Facebook or anything, but those would be, I guess TikTok as well. But those would be the three ones. Is you are going to be able to see WR as part of my handles, and this is my name. Coby Galanzowski or CMG Galanzowski or CM Galanzowski at WR or WR. I think are the main ones. Something along those lines. I don't know the exact ones, but they're there somewhere.
It's well worth doing, guys. One of the hardest working people in this space, but one of the nicest as well. So if you guys like this, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Tom Talks Rubbish on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter or X at Tom Talks Rubbish, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye now.
Thanks for watching this Tom Talks Rubbish conversation. Before you go, please make sure you leave a like on the video, share it around, and subscribe to Tom Talks Rubbish on YouTube, as well as follow Tom Talks Rubbish on Twitter/X.